From it simply spelling your name to getting thrown against the wall, today we are talking about the top 10 scary Ouija board experiences. This is Top 10 Scary Urban Legends here. I'm your host, Makayla, so let's get started. Starting off at number 10, one you probably heard of before, Zozo. The Zozo demon is a mysterious trickster entity known for stalking people through Ouija boards. Those who claim they've made contact with Zozo say he often shows himself by guiding the planchette into a figure 8 formation, before frantically zooming back and forth between the Z and O. His interactions start out friendly but grow malicious. He's known for cursing at and threatening the people that try to make contact. Some believe that saying his name out loud can also summon Zozo from the depths of hell. Zozo believers claim the demon has ancient origins from Africa. A supernatural entity called Zozo was referenced in the 1818 French text Infernal. The Demonological Encyclopedia, written by a French author, recounts the story of a young village girl who claimed she'd been possessed by two demons named Mimi and Zozo. Now at number 9, Flat. This one was commented by a Reddit user. One time me and my friends were hanging out, and one time one of them brought out a Ouija board. They were using it and had contacted a spirit. Something malicious then centered on me for the duration of their contact. They were amazed at the interaction because they weren't moving it. And I, in turn, taunted their little spirit friend, telling it that it sucked and probably deserved to be dead, etc. Suddenly it spelled out F-L-A-T, then no more movement. Unable to get another contact, we watched a movie and got ready to leave. Mike is seeing us out, and one of them notices that I had a flat tire on my reasonably new car. I then start walking across the lawn to my vehicle and I fall flat on my butt. Call it a coincidence or something, but it seems like a pretty big coincidence. Here at number 8, Abel. Another Reddit user said, "My friend had one in college. I played with it once and it scared me because it only wanted to talk to me. It was a spirit called Abel, and I don't remember much more after that. I refused to play one night, but my friends went ahead with it. They were laughing and asking questions until they got very quiet. I asked what was wrong, and they said it only wanted to talk to me, and it kept spelling my name over and over. I asked my roommate to get rid of it. After that night, we had some strange things happen. I had a touch lamp that would come on by itself over and over. I finally unplugged it and took out the bulbs. Also, on Halloween, my brake lights on my car came on and wouldn't go off. It drained my battery. We finally moved and nothing else happened." Taking number 7, Demon. This Redditor said, "My stepdad is the kind of man that doesn't lie, ever, which is why I believe his story about a Ouija board experience he had when he was younger. He said he had friends over and he had a Ouija board and they wanted to play it. After a bit of playing around, they made contact with a being that said it was a demon. His friends were asking it questions, but he said the thing pinpointed him. It told my stepdad it would visit him again later after midnight. Thoroughly freaked, they put the board away. My stepdad fell asleep and said he was woken right after 12 by it. He said this thing woke him. It was sitting at the end of his bed, grinning. He said it was small and evil looking, just grinning at him. The thing told him his first child would die and it left. My stepdad said afterwards that he tried to get rid of the board. He first threw it out with the trash, but it didn't work. He said a few days later, a little boy that he had never seen in the neighborhood showed up at his door with the board. He handed it to my stepdad and said, 'This is yours,' and left. My stepdad tried to burn it, but it wouldn't catch fire. So then he dug a deep hole and put the board in it, placed a Bible on top of it and buried it. As far as what the demon predicted, it came true. His first wife miscarried at 3 months. Coming in at number 6, Foul. This Redditor commented, "When I was about 16, I found an old school Ouija board at a thrift store. It was made of real wood, not paper like they are now. It was thin but still wood. I was intrigued with it, so I took it home. Me and a gal pal were playing with it, but nothing was happening, so we just gave it up. Left it on the bed and went out for snacks. There was no window open, no random draft, no AC on at the time, no fan. Nothing that could have caused it, but when we came back with snacks and pop, that board was working on its own. The planchette was traveling all over the board, and the word it was spelling out was foul. For a minute, we just stood there and watched it spelling out that word, several times. Then my friend scooped it up and broke it. We then covered it with salt and got rid of it in a safe place." Halfway there at number 5, Exorcism. Now this one is pretty freaky. Last summer, I stayed for a couple of weeks and perished with a priest who had a case that involved a Ouija board. A young man came into his office a few months before we talked and told the father that he had been to 3 other churches. and they had turned him down or didn't believe him. His grandmother had gotten him a Ouija board about a year ago. He began playing with it and got into contact with something. He began to feel the urge to use the board more and more. It got to the point that if he wasn't using it multiple times a day, he would begin to become extremely ill, like loss of physical strength to do anything except grab the board. The father then blessed the home and took the Ouija board. When he got back to the parish, he attempted to burn the board. However, it simply wouldn't burn. This is even after pouring gas on it. He then tried to tear up the board, but couldn't even make a scratch on it. In the end, he ended up saying a minor exorcism, blessing the board, and then tried to burn it. He said it went up in a matter of seconds. Now at number 4, Eliza. This Redditor said, "So my friends and I brought the Ouija board to a pioneer cemetery in the country and were able to contact one of the women buried there. We walk through the cemetery, set up the board in a clearing, and start asking questions. At first it does nothing, but soon starts to move, and we get a name, Eliza. Someone asks how old she was when she died. The Ouija board says 54. We ask if she wants us to stay, she says yes. One of my friends starts shining his flashlight on the gravestones around us. One of the stones closest to us read Eliza Taylor 1862 to 1960. We hightail out of there. A few days later, I googled the cemetery and found that some people have reported seeing some lady in a dress beckoning them over to the grave of the woman who we think contacted us." Here at number 3, warehouse. This one said, "In high school, a couple friends, my friend's mom and myself, were talking about a local building being haunted. My mom worked there, so we decided to break out the board and give it a shot. This place is essentially a large warehouse with tall metal racks, stacked with bags of dirt, manure, bark, and other things like large ceramic flower pots. The board was glow in the dark, so we all kept the lights off. Once we got it going, it started moving around. We asked if something was there to let us know, and there was a loud bang that seemed to come from the rafters on the other side of the warehouse. Every question that followed was met with a similar bang from various locations in the warehouse. The last question asked was if it meant us harm. The planchette was already on the no answer, and it did not move. The question was repeated and immediately followed by the closest noise yet, so we decided to leave. As we were rushing out, we flipped on our flashlights and we saw 1 or 2 large pots fall from the rack and heard what we would later find to be 40-pound bags of bark dropping to the ground." Coming in at number 2, trailer. My mom has a story of how she came home one day when her family lived in a mobile home and her younger sisters had been playing with one. The house started rocking and she thought they were jumping on the bed. So she went into the room to yell at them and found them both pinned against opposite sides of the wall with the board in the middle of the room. All the while, the trailer shook. Ever since then, no matter where my aunt lives, she talks about weird things happening, like being pushed off the bed while she's sleeping. Coming in at number 1, Claire. This Redditor posted, "I have an actual story. When my dad was a kid, he was playing around with some friends of a friend. They decided to play with the board, and my dad just kind of hung back. They were asking all kinds of questions like, who does Bobby like? And giggling about who was moving the planchette when basically out of nowhere it spells out, tell Claire not sad. Everyone was pretty confused except my dad. His younger sister, my aunt, had a friend that has passed away. He wasn't really close with these people and I don't know if they even knew he had a sister, much less her name or that her friend passed away. Of course, it's possible that they were messing with him, but he sincerely doesn't think so. And to this day, he's still pretty freaked out about it." And that's everything for top 10 scary Ouija board experiences. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you guys next time.